and talk to me about what the investigation should be looking at.
Okay, so it is said, if you consider the nature of what we are dealing with and what has just happened, one of the first things I wanted to say is that it is time we review and reassess our preparedness as a nation towards national emergencies. And if we are able to do that properly, it will help us to prioritize our national interest over triviality. Now, when it comes to the investigations, it will run through 4 cardinal areas. They will first concentrate on the history of the aircraft, which means that the aircraft has become an object of investigation. Then they will also check procedure to find out whether standard procedures were followed in such circumstances. Then again, they will look at the persona of all persons on board, particularly the crew members. Analyst is a very experienced person. He has been a tutor for all these years. He has traveled the length and breadth of this country with some of these choppers, carrying VIPs and VVIPs. Chum just came from China on a training, and among all the Africans who were sent to China, he came out as #1. Ado Mensah is a very experienced technical officer, and to the extent that they were the ones involved in this particular crash, investigations will look at standard procedure, find out what really happened. Then the last one will be what we call externalities. And one of those ones is where we are now, that the bodies have been sent to South Africa. The police have taken charge of the forensic, the DNA aspect of it. And Ceylon, that is also crucial to say that it's not entirely surprising that Ghana has flown our compatriots and our comrades to South Africa for DNA and forensic related activities. Is to collaborate the intelligence, is to collaborate the investigations, and it's also to confirm and affirm certain things that will be critical in coming up with the right analysis and the right conclusions. After all countries in the world do share their technical expertise with some other countries, particularly in times of distress and emergencies. And Ghana has played this part in the global space by sharing our intelligence and our technical ability. So it's not entirely surprising that we are where we are now. But I can tell you, these are the 4 to 5 cardinal areas of investigations, and we are waiting patiently to see the outcome.
A number of things have been said, of course, by people who are uninitiated about matters like this. The town folks, the village people, the farmers, said they saw that the aircraft was flying a bit low or lower than usual. What could that mean?
No, well, it's for the purposes of public education. Choppers such as the one we are talking about has 2 peculiar instances. When they are flying on instrument, they go very high into the sky. But when they are flying manually, then they can come as low, and it is the responsibility of the pilot to determine how low they will come and where they can land in terms of emergencies. If you look at the makeup of this particular chopper, it is a very flexible one, an adjustable one, and it plays various functions. And that is why when it comes to emergencies such as health crisis and picking up people for rescue operations and many of those ones, because it has the ability of going very high on instrument and has the ability of maneuvering as low as it can, they prefer to use them. And it is unfortunate that on this particular occasion, they did not come back home as they planned.
There were also talks about the weather. Could it be so bad at the time that the pilots could not see and so could cause the accident? Of course, the investigations will reveal all of these, but these were initial things that people around the place told us. A farmer, for example, said there was a lot of fog up there, and so he thought that could have contributed to it. This is a farmer who knows perhaps next to nothing about aeronautics and all of that. But could that be a major factor, the weather condition?
It is also a known knowledge that choppers or helicopters do not have the flexibility Boeing 787 will have or Airbus will have. those planes, when they have emergencies in the air, they may have at least 30 minutes or 1 hour to get to the nearest airport. With a chopper, when it's coming down, they do not have that luxury of time. So if they do not have open spaces like football parks where there are no electricity cables on the ground to put the aircraft, then they are likely to run into trouble. Investigations will show whether there's a mechanical fault, whether when they took off they have issues, or when they are about to land they had issues, or airborne issues. These are all peculiar instances that can affect both choppers and big aeroplanes. It could also be the fact whether there's a human error, there's inconsistencies or carelessness, or there's even somebody want to sabotage the whole process. And that is why the investigations will be comprehensive and it will be broadly done. And that is what I use the word, the persona of the crew members, particularly all persons on board. What we are talking about, the fog will also be a factor. Barcelona, this is an experienced professor we are talking about. Anala has been in this business for years. He has traveled the length and breadth of this country. He knows the topology between Accra and Obuasi. Chum is a very smart person. And even in times of suicidal attempt, Chum could have taken off and taken over the aircraft and make sure they land. So these are all prepositions and assumptions on the table. But for we as investigators, we are looking at the core values, we are looking at the core elements, and we are looking at reconciling and affirming the facts as contained in the crime scene and as contained in the forensic examinations of the bodies. And so that is why we say to people, the bodies in South Africa are not just going for identification to identify who is this and who is that, but they will be taken through some other aspect of forensic examination, and it will help us to affirm and to confirm and to ascertain what actually happened on the aircraft. One other aspect which is very critical is that on this particular chopper, we have the two recording lens in addition to the black box. The history shows that the black box will be sent to the manufacturer and not the supplier. And either the Chinese come here or we send it to them for them to diagnose it for us. But with the recorders, we will hear the conversations in the among the pilots and among the crew members. And by now, I should be saying that we might have about 70 to 80% idea of what exactly happened, whilst we are waiting to confirm all the details before the national funeral on the 15th of August.
So are we confident that we will have the forensic examination results come before next Friday so that the bodies will be given, the families will have an opportunity to deal with the bodies, the Islamic brothers will also have the opportunity to deal with the bodies, etc., before the Friday, which is the day for the national or the state burial? Are we confident that the process of the forensic examination can conclude before that time?
Yeah, the investigators are mindful of that. And whatever happens, I believe the presidency or the military will update the nation. But I am very confident that they will do something as quickly as possible. And where there are issues and there are delays, they will allay the fears of the general public. The bodies have become objects of investigation, and a national one, of course, and nobody wants to leave any stone unturned. So that is the complexity and the sensitivity of what we are talking about. I can also understand people are complaining about the crime scene, and we all know the importance of a crime scene in terms of forensic investigation and aligning or collaborating evidence. Our crime scene department at the Ghana Police Service have the ability to get to the crime scene and reconstruct the crime scene in a manner that will also help the frontline investigators. So that thing, we have accused ourselves in this country for so long. This should not be the time for accusations. We are doing the right things at the right time, except the initial difficulties we have when our national planning agencies and the response teams have been thrown out of gear. Let's continue in this path steadily and very focused. And I believe we will get results, and the conclusions will be something we can look forward to in taking future decisions. Salom, it's also important to say that it's not all investigations that lead to prosecutions. Some investigation outcomes may lead to decision makers taking a different approach, or it may lead to internal reforms, it may lead to reformations, it may lead to policymakers to have a new idea and to adopt other strategies. And some other ones may lead to discipline and punitive actions where crime is perceived to have been committed. So this is the broad nature of the investigations we are talking about. And I'm happy to know some of the people on these particular investigations. And I want to believe that they will put their integrity above all else, and they will put their national love and their national loyalty above all else, and they will do a good job.
There's a talk about the contamination of the crime scene or of the scene of the accident scene. And people have also talked about how the bodies were conveyed in jute bag sacks or cocoa sacks, etc. Could it have been done in any better way, given the circumstances, at play at the time?
Yeah, I agree with you. That issue came up. I have taught crime scene for many years. I have checked with the pathologists, the doctors, and almost everybody. We have a medical scientist who confirmed to us on authority that as at the time they got to the crime scene, the bodies were very hot, so they couldn't have carried them in the body bags. So one approach and one option was that they should use a sack, which may not have the negative effect as body bags. Because I raised the question, where were the body bags when they got there? And as we speak to people, experts, and pick the expert opinion, one of the reasons we are getting other sections is that body bags wouldn't have helped because the bodies were hot as they got there, and we needed to move them as quickly to Kumasi and hand over them to the military. Yeah, so those initial concerns were raised. But Salom, when we got to Kumasi and the military took over, you can attest to the fact that they gave them the best they can and put them in a heavier chopper and brought them to the Air Force Base in a manner that depicts decency, respect, and adoration to the dead. And I think we need to move from there. But like I said, it's also unfortunate for lack of public education. Some of our brothers and sisters got into the crime scene and have even picked up certain items into their homes. When we raise the issue, my understanding is that the MP in the area engaged with the chiefs and some of our compatriots in the area, and some other people have started bringing back some of the things they have taken, including the watch and all that. And so public education is critical in this country, which we don't do so well. NCC have no budget, and we don't educate people on some of these emergencies. It's all part of the reason why I'm saying that it is time to assess and review our national strategies when it comes to dealing with national emergencies, because it looks as if a lot of work needed to be done in that area. But I'm very confident and assuring that my brothers at the crime scene department of the Ghana Police Service, people I have worked with for over 10 years, once they get to the crime scene, they have the ability of reconstructing the crime scene. That will help the frontline investigators in order to establish and collaborate evidence they might be looking for in whichever direction.
I see. Great. Just hang in there for me.